যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে না 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 নে না 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 তবে একলা চলো রে.
The world calls him BDG, but I was never very comfortable. I have never called him BDG because that is, according to me, Bikram is the light actually, and BDG is one reflection of him. He has many soft elements which the world does not know, but the BDG came out the strongest as it was part of his career, what the world was seeing. But the BDG I always perceived is one dimension of Bikram. The power is the Bikram, the core of Bikram. As a wife, my life was very interesting with him because he was always exploring new things, making that difference, and very focused and very hardworking. I remember that he was always sitting in the bedroom in his chair table, writing, scratching, making design, the logos, everything, and sharing with me all the time. So he was a person always who shared everything with his family. That time my sons were in US studying, so obviously I was there always with him in the bedroom sitting, and all his ideas and thoughts he was sharing all the time.
When an unknown excites you, and if your wife, your partner is also excited about the unknown, it's phenomenal because both of us get back home not knowing what is tomorrow. And there has been so many days in my life when I put my head in my pillow and thought there should not be a tomorrow again because there was no money and there was so many issues to deal with, and I will never compromise with what I want to do. So I had this gap, throwing the cap on the tree and jumping to get it, that concept. I had that gap that I wanted to do big projects on one side, on the other side there was a huge resource crunch, but actually I never bothered beyond a point. My job was to bridge the gap, so I kept on bridging the gap, and finally I'm sitting here today and we are both here. So I think that distance of, particularly in Calcutta, and Calcutta was definitely exciting, interesting and challenging because there were not too many parallels in Calcutta for us. One of my sons used to work with Deloitte. The other son was a computer engineer, and those days the computer engineer son came and told me, "Dad, I will take care of the US business." And don't forget, the year was 2002, when everything had closed down in US just after Y2K, and very, very bad times. And he took the reins and really worked everything he had very hard. And the other boy said, "I've done enough of Deloitte and I want to work with you." So this thing, what happened to me in my life, was a booster. And for customers, I might tell you that suddenly they saw another 40 years of Globsyn. Because moment two youngsters join you, even if I get older, there will be two youngsters who take charge. And that was a phenomenal motivation for customers.
তবে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে.
When you talk of a brand like Globsyn Business School, it is much beyond a business school. I mean, it's very difficult for me to say sitting here, but the energy within that school, within that campus, is much beyond the classrooms, much beyond any one of us. But the interesting thing here is the volunteers of all our philanthropy are my business school students. And it is their energy, their young energy, which is giving to a 90-year-old or an 80-year-old when they support. And that energy radiates very, very powerfully in the society. My first NGO is in the name of my mother, which is Kalyani, and there we started working with old age homes. Those old people used to say that, we have nothing to give your students. We can only bless them. And that is good enough. You keep blessing them. They will do well in life.
যদি কেউ কথা না কয় ওরে ওরে ওই অভাগা কেউ কথা না কয় যদি সবাই থাকে মুখ ফিরায়ে সবাই করে ভয় যদি কেউ কথা না কয় ওরে ওই অভাগা কেউ কথা না কয়
When we used to live in Delhi, there was a time I used to come back home for lunch. I used to have lunch and then just sat in my bed for 10-15 minutes and then go. Take some rest, 10 minutes. And she will come. She'll say, what, you don't have work today? Why are you taking rest? No, she's like that. She can't accept that I should not be working in work time. And this is coming from your wife. So I think that energy, that sharing of that energy was huge for me and all my life. It's very emotional for me.
যদি সবাই থাকে মুখ ফিরায়ে সবাই করে ভয় তবে পরাণ খুলে ও তুই মুখ ফুটে তোর মনের কথা একলা বলো রে
So one day I was sitting in my terrace in Salt Lake and my wife comes up and asks me that, what happened? Why are you looking so grim-faced today? I told her that, look, March my principal payment of bank will start and I have done all my calculations. There is no way I can pay this money. No way. So this is it. End of story for me. And I had thought of building a good company, but it's gone. So my wife smiled and said that the person who is already involved with you will show you the way. So again, somebody gave me an answer. So I started thinking. I said, by that time, Pradeep Sureka was already working with me for that project. But I still had the bank loan to be paid. So I went to Pradeep and I said, why don't you take so many thousand square feet more and I'll sell it at a wholesale price to you, the real estate, and you give me that money. And I struck the deal with Pradeep and I got about 9 crores out of an additional square feet of space for him. Next day morning, went to the bank, signed the check of 9 crores and went for my angioplasty. But when I went for that, I had no debt.
যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে
They called me. They said, look, we are doing a intelligent building. It's 18-storied building for software parks. You are setting up a software company. That time I was setting up a software company. We will give you one full floor. We will take some equity. You don't have to pay cash against that floor. We'll take 20-25% equity and give you that floor. And when your business grows, then you give us that money and we will return the equity to you also. So I just smiled and I said that you're talking to the wrong person. He said, why? I said, if you're talking about a floor, I'm not interested. If you give me the building, I could be interested. So this was evening, happening in Delhi, in that Panchsheel enclave. That was the Weber guest house. He said, what did you say? I said, sir, I don't do this floor show and all that. Will you give me the full building? I will build the building, I'll market it, I'll get international IT companies into Calcutta, I'll do everything if you give me the whole project. Then this gentleman, the managing director of Weber said, Amaka arekta whiskey dao. He wanted one more whiskey. He said, this guy is talking something very different. And that started the infinity journey.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ওই অভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাবার কালে কেউ ফিরে না চায় যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ওই অভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়
Two friends of mine came from Dubai to meet me. One friend came to show the other friend what I have done. And then I took them to this is the old Globsyn. This crystals has not come that time. Old Globsyn 2-story stuff. We took them at the back, and there was about a little over an acre of land behind in our complex, which had this much of grass in it, lying, and there were snakes and other things playing around. I didn't have anything to do with it, so it was there. So suddenly this guy, the second guy who came with my friend, he said that I find NPA here. I said, what do you mean? He said, this is a non-profitable asset. You've got so much of land and you are not doing anything about it. He said this and went away. It set me thinking. I said, did he give me a business? And then I started thinking and said, why not build one more infinity in that space? I started thinking, or conceptually one more infinity. And that was the birth of Globsyn crystals. I said, okay, infinity, I have done it for IT. Let me now do it for the BPO segment.
যদি গহন পথে যাবার কালে কেউ ফিরে না চায় তবে পথের কাঁটা তবে পথের কাঁটায় ও তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে
So I came out with this concept of health insurance card. And I constructed the health insurance card in my room, office room, for 6 people. Parents, husband, wife, and 2 kids. 6 people will get comprehensive insurance if you are a performing artist. Between the age group, a younger group up to 35 years will get. We visited 30 insurance companies. Nobody accepted that because I wanted OTC products. I used to go and ask, can he buy Benadryl against this? He said, no way. Can he get doctor's fees against this? No way. There will be a lot of wastage. He'll buy 100 bottles of Benadryl and it doesn't work. Okay. Then I kept on going. We got finally 2 insurance companies and I told them, look, what is your problem? If you help me in getting these OTC products, at the most your premium will be high. You're not paying the premium, I'm paying the premium. So increase the premium, what's your problem? But if I can benefit by paying a higher premium this community, that is the reason I'm doing this. I don't want to reduce the premium. I want to pay higher premium, but I want to do the right thing. That is more important to me. So they agreed. They said, okay, then your premium will be very high. I said, no problem. So we got 2 insurance companies agreeing, and finally we got State Bank General Insurance. They were the large insurance company. They agreed, and today 156 families on the performing artists are supported by my Broadway health card. Everything supported.
যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে
There was a musician who used to come to our house. He used to teach music to poor kids, free of cost. He himself was pretty poor, but that doesn't matter. His heart was of gold. And he used to come on bicycle to our house. And one day he came late. He was supposed to come and meet my wife. Not for me, he used to come for my wife. And he came late. So my wife naturally asked me, what happened? Today you got stuck somewhere? Well, no, ma'am. I was coming. Suddenly, in EM bypass, that's road, I suddenly saw Dada's one hoarding about me. And I stopped my bike, and for next 10 minutes I kept on reading that hoarding. It motivated me so much that I couldn't move from that place. And that hoarding said, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. One day there was a storm in Calcutta, and that hoarding fell down. I did not know the hoarding has fallen down. I came to know through telephone calls. So I got telephone calls from 4 or 5 ladies from Onward. You know what, your hoarding has fallen down, please pick it up immediately. I said, what is this? Well, no, we want to read that line every day. It's so motivating.
যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ওই ভাগা আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আঁধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ওই ভাগা আলো না ধরে
I don't know how many people are aware of Amphan. People in Bengal are 100% aware. It was very, very bad, particularly in the districts and villages and in the Mufassil towns. It really impacted lots and lots of families. One such community which got very badly impacted in Amphan time was what we call them as bauls. These bauls are actually, they earn their living through singing music, singing songs, their own creations, and they go house to house, they take bhiksha and they sing and they earn their living. And you can imagine once Amphan happened, they did not have their houses, it got blown away. They did not have money because nobody gave them bhiksha after Amphan, and they were all starving and almost on the verge of collapsing. The whole unit of bauls of families were collapsing. It was one such time my friend Mr. Debojyoti Mishra, who has worked extensively with the bauls, had approached me and talked to me that if we can do something about these people who are literally sitting on the streets and they don't have any place to go, they don't have food to eat. So I, of course, supported them, and I also committed to Debojyoti that I will help build some houses for them.
তবে বজ্রানলে তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জ্বলরে
That my first car in my life was the 1957 model Fiat, which opened the door the other way. You know, if you remember, some old people sitting here will remember, the door opened the other way. Now, of course, Rolls-Royce opens that way, so it's not a joke. So that was my first Fiat I bought, maybe 10th hand or 11th hand, I don't know. And that's the only money I had, so I paid. And people who would have seen me driving in the early days of Salt Lake in that Fiat with my wife, the mileometer and the fuel meter never worked in that. So I will not know how much of petrol is there in the car because it was not working. And Salt Lake had only one petrol bunk those days. I'm talking the early days of Salt Lake. More often than not, petrol used to finish. And suddenly while going on the road, the car slows down and stops in the middle of the road. So I somehow pushed it on the side. I had a can, which was a 5-liter can, which was kept for this purpose. The petrol will finish. I will just pick it up, walk to the same petrol bunk, which was very far, and get some petrol. So people have seen those days, many of you, that I used to keep walking, go to the petrol bunk, take that 5 liters of petrol, come back, fill the petrol in the car, again 5 more liters of life, and then we went on doing that. Those were beautiful days, no regrets about those days because they were exciting days, and it made me much more rooted and made me fundamentally know what is this world all about.
যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে, তবে একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে।
We had that in our family. So I knew what congenital heart disorder is. And congenital heart disorder is a defect, not a disease. So there is a very basic difference between a defect and a disease. Defect, if you operate, it's cured. Disease is never cured, just medicines and medicines and medicines. So this is a defect. If you operate a congenital heart defect youngster within 9 years of his age, first 9 years of his age, he will or she will be all right. But you have to catch them very young. And that is what people fail to do, because normally these kids are born mostly in the poor families. And they don't have the money. So I came across Sri Satya Sai Baba hospitals who work on this surgeries before 9 years of age. And Mr. Sunil Gavaskar is also one of the patrons of this. He is the chairman of Heart to Heart Foundation, which supports such causes. So I met them and I had a detailed chat with them, and today I'm supporting them for this congenital heart disorder, and this is a defect, remember. So if that kid gets operated before he or she is 9 years of age, then he's completely cured, and it completely changes the whole system. So this is another story of how you can help people if you identify the problem, if you know what you're required to do, and do it. Fundamentally what happens is we fall in love with creativity. We fall in love with creation of a thing which has not been created by anybody else. I can't tell you, it is so addictive, it's not funny. If you start doing something which nobody else has done in your life, sitting on 2022, you must be something. So there is always more to life, which is my famous line which I keep saying, telling everybody about this, that there is always more to life. There is no end and start. It's a continuum which goes on in life.
একলা চলো রে, ও একলা চলো রে, একলা চলো রে, তবে একলা চলো রে, তবে একলা চলো রে, তবে একলা চলো।